Okay. And Lily, I know you're here and I know you can't participate, but I'm glad you were at least able to listen, and I will call you afterwards. And I've already spoken to Jay about this in part as well. There's two things. A, as we know, Eyshe, who's done a wonderful job this semester, has to graduate. And he has to take a course that was not known at the point when we had class last week, but soon after. That will be in this time slot because we want him to get his degree. Now, so that means we're going to have to change the time, not the date of the class, the time. We wanted to know what works best for you. We're committed to Thursdays, but Eyshe's course will be from 12:30 to 1:50. So that kind of leaves it out there. Eyshe, do you want to take it from here since it's your class?
Yeah.
Oh, hey, Lily. Good.
Lily.
Thank you. Don't look at me because I'm after dental procedure. I'm in bed, but I will be listening.
All right, Lily.
Yeah.
Lily, did you hear what I just said, or do you want me to summarize it quickly?
Please do.
We are going to have to change not the date of the week, but the time of the class, because Eyshe has a class required for graduation that's offered during this time slot.
Okay.
So I'll let you go first, but would you prefer a later time or a earlier time? And then I'll let Eyshe go from there. But I want to make sure you get your thoughts in before
probably earlier, like what? Like 11 o'clock, 10 o'clock, when? 11?
So all those times work for me. To be clear, I'm free literally all day besides this time block now, which is the
of course, not a problem. Or around 4 o'clock or after 4 is good, or like 11, 10:30.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think earlier.
I could.
Okay.
For my case, earlier 11 o'clock. I do have on Thursdays. I do have all staff meeting at my work at 11 o'clock.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
Okay.
So sorry.
No. We gotta make this work.
And what about, I have the same problem as Jean.
Okay, and what about 10? And what about 10? 10 in the morning? Would 10 work for everybody?
Yeah, does earlier work at all for Mark or Jean? It's okay if not. Okay.
How about real early, like 9 o'clock? Is that too
9 o'clock probably. See, because sometimes 11 o'clock could start at 9 o'clock. So basically.
So for me, anything will work. If you want to do the afternoon too.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say.
In this case, I would be better prefer to have something after 3 for that matter.
Okay.
Because see, it's still a working day for us.
Okay.
Since you're working as well.
Talk at 1 o'clock. I'm telling them that I'm taking a late lunch. So basically, I mean, no, but. Right. They're taking early lunch at 9.
Mark, what about you? Later in the day is better?
Yeah, like 3 or 4 o'clock.
Yeah, that would work. That
Okay.
works too. 3 or 4.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Do people? Oh, sorry, Lily.
4 o'clock is good. If it's good.
Okay.
Lily, could you do 3?
I will try if I have to. If I
Okay. What about 3:30?
Okay, better.
Yeah, for me, like 3:40, 4 o'clock. The later
3:30 is good because it does. 3:30 is good.
Okay, I can very easily do 3:30.
Okay. So, all right, that works. And then the flip side is and Eyshe doesn't have complete control over this because of academia. We will be back to 1 o'clock as soon as we can.
I try really hard to schedule around my class, my classes I teach, but then the university just decides when things are going to be, and I have to be at their mercy.
What class are you teaching?
It'll be interesting. It's an Eastern European Jewish history course that I have to take for my training.
It's a cool class.
Yeah, it'll be fun, but it means unfortunately,
You're teaching it. You're teaching it, Eyshe. You're teaching.
No, I'm going to be taking it. It's with it's with a Yiddishist here in Chicago. Benjamin Moss. It'll be a good time. It'll be really important for me in my training as like a Yiddishist, but it's it's at the same time, unfortunately. So.
Okay. The other thing, and I wanted to be transparent about this because we were going to raise the price before Hala left. But obviously we did not want to do that with Eyshe coming on board. So there is going to be a small increase for the next semester, about $25. And but I just wanted to be transparent about that because Eyshe does get paid for this. And, so just wanted you to be aware of that as we re-enroll. And the other thing is, being that I'm going to be quiet and let you do your thing. We are starting, for any of you who are interested, it was in today's e-bulletin. If anyone wants to, a Hebrew class with our friends over at Beth Shalom in Northbrook, also on Zoom. So that'll be on Mondays at noon and taught by a woman named Susan Storr. And I love that Eyshe just put his applause sign up. So if you know anyone who wants to learn, this is the chance. Eyshe, I will be quiet. The floor is yours.
Okay, schönen Dank. Okay, ich bin sehr zufrieden, was wir haben gefunden, ein Entfer für unsere Zeit, für unsere Class. Und warte, werden wir reden weiter wegen dem und wir können, we can figure out all the details, aber gut, lo mir anheben. Ich gucke sehr starke Reus auf unsere Class heint. Und das ist ein guter Verb bei uns. A Reus gucken auf. Was heißt a Reus gucken auf? A Reus gucken auf.
To look out for someone. To look out.
So it definitely could mean to look out in certain ways, but the way I use it, it has a little bit of a different meaning. Emetzeweist?
So, give us a sentence. Put it in a sentence.
Ich guck sehr starke Reus auf unser Kurs.
You're
looking forward.
Look upon, you look upon.
looking
You look
forward
upon.
to the course.
I look forward. I look
Ah.
forward. This is definitely something important to know as we begin more conversation. Is Adois gucken auf literally means to look forward to. And you'll notice that it's one of these separable prefix verbs, which means that this arois part jumps off the verb and comes after when we conjugate it. We're going to work more on separable prefix verbs in the coming semester. But ich guck arois auf heißt I look forward to. Ich guck arois auf. Now, this is also an important phrase in Yiddish because this is also the way a Yiddish speaker says, I'm excited to or for. I'm excited to or for. There are other ways, of course, to express ideas of excitement or happiness or joy, but generally speaking, in how English speakers, I'm so excited for blank. Yiddish speakers prefer to say, ich gucke so stark Reus auf, whatever it is. So instead of saying ich gucke Reus, you can strengthen it by saying ich guck zeyär Reus auf something, or you can say ich guck sehr stark Reus auf something. And this stark strengthens a verb. Exactly. Stark heißt strong. And stark actually can operate as a verb strengthener for any verb in the Yiddish language. Stark heißt poshet, a kind of more intense, stronger version of whatever verb you're using. So ich hab stark lieb, ich hab stark feind, ich guck sehr starke Reus und so weiter. Stark can be sort of a verb strengthener. Okay, I just wanted to make sure I mentioned that phrase out of the way first. So today we're going to do a couple things.
Can you say too stark, so to make it even more stronger? Too strong.
Well, Gene, you tell me what would ich guck zu starke Reus auf? What would that mean? Zu stark.
Too much.
Too much. Yeah. So you're obsessed. You're a little bit obsessive, right?
Yeah.
You're like, I look a little too much forward to something. Das wird gewen ich guck zu starke Reus. Aber gut, wir kennen das weiter sagen. Heinz wollen wir tun 4 Sachen, mehr oder weniger. 4 Sachen. Die erste Sache ist, Frages, wie allemal. Ich will hören eure Frages, wenn Sie wollen sie fragen. Denn nachdem wollen wir rezitieren. Rezitieren, das heißt, lernen auf a call. Lass mich das schreiben. Lernen auf a call. Was heißt das? Lernen auf a call.
Read out loud.
Read it out loud. And what does it literally mean, Mark? Lernen auf a call.
Like read on a voice.
Yeah, to read on a voice. Exactly.
Read out the
Lernen
voice, yes.
auf a call. So you'll notice der kol, pay attention to the spelling. It's a Hebrew word, although it looks very similar maybe to like a Yiddish word. It is Hebrew, so it's spelt with a vav. Go, der kol, der kol. And it's actually, I'm wrong, it's not der kol, it's dos kol. My apologies, dos kol. For those interested, there's a radio broadcast in Boston every week in Yiddish called Das Yiddische Kol, which you can find online if you just type in Das Yiddische Kol. And they interview someone pretty much every week, and it's like a regular radio broadcast in the Boston area in Yiddish, but it's also online if you ever want to listen. It's it could be a fun time if you're ever kind of wanting to listen to more Yiddish. But anyway, Leyenen Afakol haste for Leyenen epis. Yo, for Leyenen? Was heißt for Leyenen?
To read before.
Yo, it means sort of like to read out loud, to present something for Leyenen. I'm going to read something, but I'm going to do it in a sort of presentational way. Yo, for Leyen. For example, ich leyen for a lead. Yo, ich leyen for a lead. I'm going to read I'm going to read poetry for you. Yo, I'm going to recite poetry for you. So we have.
Can I just, sorry, one question. Is a lead not a song? What's a lead?
Great question out there. So a lead, this goes back to a sort of kind of much larger question in Germanic languages generally. What is a lead? You know, because you have this word in Yiddish, you have this word in German. We had it a very long time ago in English. So dos
and in Afrikaans.
In Afrikaans, exactly. Yep.
Okay.
So das lead has probably the same nuance as it does in Afrikaans, in German, and probably also in Dutch, that it mainly means a song, but of course the line between song and poetry and verse and lyric is notoriously a little wobbly. Yeah. And those two things very much collapse into each other. So when it comes to Yiddish poetry and Yiddish song, we have really three major words, and then we'll return to expressions about how we talk about reciting something. So we have das Lied, we have die Poesie, and we have die Dichtung. So das Lied, die Poesie, die Dichtung. We also have der Poeme. So I guess 4 words, der Poeme. What's the difference between all these words? So a lied is primarily a song, but it also means it also means lyric. Yo, so any song that has a lyric quality, a rhyme usually, which can also be a poem, because many songs are poetry. So the line between lied and poetry is not very clear. For any Yiddish speaker, it's the same thing in German. It might be the same thing in Afrikaans, although I'm not sure. Lily?
A lead is with singing, it has music to it. Usually it's like the leaders by, Schumann.
Yes.
Schumann.
Exactly.
A poem
exactly.
is just poetry, just a poem. You don't sing it or recite it.
So a lied is primarily song-like. It's primarily a song, but it can also used to be described poetry or a poem that rhymes or has a song-like quality. You'll often find Yiddish poetry called Yiddische Lieder. So just know that it kind of occupies that dual space in Yiddish of both song and poem, and often that's okay. Die Poesie refers to the literary genre writ large. Die Poesie. Die Poesie. Yeah. Lieder and Poesie is what is called Dichtung. Die Dichtung. And this goes back to a much like larger Germanic kind of, and also like German literary category, which has to do with the production of literature and beauty. Yeah, so Dichtung is die Dichtung. And then der Poeme, that, as Lily already said, is a poem. Yeah, a poem in all of its kind of manifestations. But that means, but I'll say, you know, around a lot of Yiddish speakers, I hear most poems, you know, I hear them referred to as lied, you know, a lieder. So it can mean song or poetry, and it's highly contextual. Does that make sense between what these words mean? Yeah. So Dichtung is kind of the very highbrow upper category that contains all of this. Lieder can be all sorts of song and verse and lyric. Poesia is the literary genre, and then a poema is an example of the literary genre. Yeah. So good. So for example, we recently worked with the poetry of Kadia Molodowski. Yeah, Kadia Molodowski und ihre Lieder. We call them Lieder, although they are poetry, because they could easily be put to song. They have a quality of lyric, they have a quality of verse. They usually rhyme, they have short sentences. And if one were to sing them, you know, they could easily be a song, Lieder, you know, Kadia Molodowski's Lieder. And what we're going to do today is we're going to work with these kind of expressions I already mentioned. So just to kind of recap how we talk about reading out loud, you know, so we can say Ŋvårlייענען, to read out loud, to present something, to present like a presentational reading. Lייענען af kol, das heißt also to read out loud, to use your voice to read, lייענען af kol. And then we also have racitiren,
like a recitation.
yeah, which is a recitation, to recite.
Yeah, right.
Racitiren. Ich rezitiere a lied. I will say, racitiren, and maybe also in English, the idea of recitation. It has the kind of, it sounds like something a child would do in a classroom, sort of. It has that kind of that kind of tam. You know, I don't know the English word. When I teach in Yiddish, I usually think in Yiddish. So it has a sort of tam of like a child who's reciting a poetry in a classroom or is presenting something. So racitiren may not always be your preferred word for talking about reading poetry, but it doesn't necessarily have to have that nuance. I'm just letting you know that contextually, when people hear like a Racțitirung, die Racțitirung, they might think of, you know, something a student might do in a classroom, you know, just like in English, a recitation. Good. Any questions on this vocabulary?
Oh, it's good.
Good. Okay, Shane. So I know that some of you, maybe all of you, had the chance to prepare maybe some poetry from Kadia Molodowski. And I figured that today we could all listen to some poetry and talk about it afterwards. Af Mamaloschen, was steht sich? So, Lemoshel, Gittel, ich weiß, dass du hast etwas zugegräht für uns. Efter willst du anheben mit unseren Rezitierungen zwischen uns?
Ja, ich kann aufheben. Ich habe how do you say choose? Ich habe
anyone know how to
Angefangen.
So anfangen is an older Yiddish word, was heißt to begin. Anfangen. And it's very close. It's a little Germany, I will say. Not that it's wrong. Not that it's wrong to use, but little Germany. Most, and I used German -y there, not like the country, but it sounds like, you know. The thing to know is that most, not, and when I say most, this is not like a value judgment, you know, please use whatever word you'd like. I'm just, you know, like statistically, a lot of Yiddish speakers prefer anheben for to begin. You know?
Okay.
But to choose is to beschließen. Beschließen.
To
So-
decide, like to
To
decide.
decide, exactly. Yeah, exactly. Ich beschließ, or in the past tense, ich hab beschlossen. Beschlossen. Yeah, good.
Okay.
Okay, can I just ask about that word? I'm sorry. So schliss is, I thought, to close, right?
Ah,
Schliss,
yo,
schliss
very
the
good.
tear.
Very good.
Right.
Yeah. So schließen does mean to close. Yeah, schließen. But beschließen means to decide something. Beschließen.
Okay,
is decide.
okay.
Yeah. Good. And then if you wanted a verb that maybe carries more of the meaning of like to pick out something, maybe between some options, you would say oiskleiben.
Oiskleiben, right.
Yeah.
Okay.
So for example, I can say ich kleib ois a
Mhm.
Lied Ŋvorzulehnen. Ich kleib ois a Lied ₦vorzulehnen. I pick out a poem to read out loud. Yo, ich kleib ois. So it's oiskleiben, separable prefix. The ois goes after when it's conjugated. Ich kleib ois a Lied ₦vorzulehnen. And we'll, as we work more on our grammar, we'll talk about why that su is in the middle of the verb there. Ich kleib ois a Lied ₦vorzulehnen. In the past, it's ich hab. Does anyone know?
Ois.
Ich hab was.
Oisgäkliben.
Ah, very close. Oisgäkliben. Oisgäkliben. So you'll notice exactly. You'll notice the pattern is just like schreiben. Yeah, ich hab geschrieben. Ich hab geklieben. Ich hab oisgäkliben. Yeah. So it's a similar pattern. And then the last thing I'll say is that, you know how in English you'll see some volumes of poetry that are called selected works. Yeah, selected works. In Yiddish, this is called gäkliebänä Ɂערק. Gäkliebänä Ֆערק. Yeah. So, no, just kind of an introduction to talking about choice of Yiddish. Oh, and then the last thing I'll say, wie soll ich a choice? Das ist mein choice. Wie sagt man das auf Yiddish?
This is mine.
Ich hab
This.
Roiskekleiben.
Mine.
Ja, das ist gut.
It's
Aber
like,
das ist
ich hab Roiskekleiben. That means I
Ja.
chose something.
But
no?
how the noun?
The noun, yo. So also one thing out there, be careful, yo. So it's not a Oisgäkliben, it's Oisgäkliben.
Okay.
Just ois, yeah.
Oisgäkliben.
So
Okay.
a Ois and the Ois are two different prefixes, and we'll definitely spend some time talking about those in the coming semester too, because I really want to talk about Ois, Ois, zu, Iber, on.
So how is the choice? That's my choice.
The choice is die Beriרה. Die Beriרה. Ze komt van Hebräisch. Ja, das ist Hebräisch. Ja, es ist Lashon Kodesh, Take. Die Beriרה. Die Beriרה. And the plural is die Breiras. Die Breiras. Okay, gut. Genug schon mit meinem Vokabular. Ich will hören, was Gietel hat uns vorgelegt.
Okay, so ich hab Oisgäkliben
Ja, sehr gut.
von Molodowski, Blatt 14. 14 Blatt 14, page 14.
Good. So Blatt is good. You can also say Zeit. So in Yiddish, der Blatt, or even better, those Zeit or Zeitel.
Zeitel 14.
Yeah,
Kannst du put Rolf on the screen?
Yeah, those kenne ich gerade. Yeah, so you've chosen the 14th one? Okay, good. Wie heißt es auf Yiddish?
Heißt Ashmuz?
Ashmuz. Okay, good.
Ah.
Okay, good.
Ashmuz.
Sehr schön, sehr feine Brede.
Das ist ein kurz, nicht lang.
Yeah,
Good,
that's the one that I chose. Okay. Okay.
You chose that too? Really?
Because it was short. Because it was kurz.
Sports, yeah.
Good.
Kurz.
Okay. Okay. Okay, a schmooze, which is a conversation or a chat.
Mhm.
Okay. Otta, staat, hoige, moyer. So here stands a high wall, like a brick wall. Lum im greener boing.
Mhm.
So near is a green tree. Is near a green tree? There's no really is. Near a green tree.
Mhm.
Their boim zieht sich zum Himmel.
Mhm.
So the tree, now zieht sich, I kind of thought like zieht means pull or stretches itself
Exactly.
to the sky. It could be heaven, but I think in this case, Himmel is sky.
Mhm.
Der Moyer lot im. This is I had a little trouble with this, but der Moyer lotst im koyam, and I kind of thought the wall lets him hardly do it, because I looked up koyam and means hardly.
Yeah.
So the wall hardly lets him do it.
Yeah, good.
Okay, second paragraph. Der Boyam schluckt mit die Zweigen, or is it Zweigen?
Ja, Zweige. Good.
Yeah, the tree Boyam schluckt is fight with the leaves actually of the tree. Zweigen is twigs or branches.
Ja, Zweigen heißt branches. Ja, branches.
Branches.
heißt Zweige. Mhm.
So the tree fights with the branches. Rück op sich, rück sich auf. Now
Mhm.
this is a pull or slide up you, or slide you up, or pull you up.
Maybe move.
Rück op sich, rück sich op. Okay, the third line. Ich will noch höher steigen.
Mhm.
I want to stand even higher. I guess it's the tree talking.
Mhm.
Es wächst mein grüner Kopf.
Sehr schön.
So it grows my green head, literally. My green head is growing up.
Mhm. Mhm.
Un es is the third paragraph. Un es rusk, this dear what's that? Boim mit Blätter. And
Mhm.
the third word, roisht, it's kind of like rustling or something, or
Exactly.
rustling. So
Mhm.
un es roisht der Bäum mit Blätter. So the tree is rustling with its leaves, or the leaves are rustling
Yes.
on the tree or making noise.
Exactly. Mhm.
Gib Zun un Wind un Heuch. Give sun and wind and height. I wasn't sure on that one because didn't
Ja, height. Mhm.
der Moyer entfert ruhig. The wall answers quietly or calmly.
Mhm.
Ich tu mein Arbeit euch. I do my job also,
Mhm.
which I think is still the wall talking.
Yeah.
The last paragraph. Salachen von die Fenster 12 Kinder mit Amul. So, and laughter, I wasn't sure why it said still laughing, but
Yeah, we'll talk
laughter
about
from the window,
Mhm.
12 children altogether. Entfert die Blätter, so answers the leaves. Mit.
Mhm.
Now, it's funny that we mentioned coal, because there's the voice there from before, coal. And I couldn't figure out what that last middle big word was, mit. It's some sort of an adjective voice, melodical voice with a certain calm voice or with a, that word that was the only word I didn't really, couldn't
Yo,
find.
murmlin haste to mutter. And murmlin dicken, you can do this with any verb in Yiddish. You take its infinitive form, murmlin, and you add dick at the end, and it basically means ing, like we say in English, like lachendik, laughing, murmelindik, murmuring.
Oh, murmuring.
So and then here coal is written. This is written for children. So coal is written without the Hebrew spelling. It's written phonetically. Coal. Coal.
Was that why it's spelled differently than the way you have it? But
Yeah,
coal is a voice,
exactly.
or
Mhm.
so it's written phonetically for children.
Yeah, it's written phonetically, exactly.
So
could it
mid
be
murmuring or quiet
it-
with a
it-
quiet voice. Is that how it ends, with a quiet
Yeah.
voice?
With a kind of murmuring, whispering voice.
Whispering. And why do they put salachen there?
So let's talk about it. So first of all, a shame them dan gito. Das given oyster gewöhnlich fein. Ja, ich hab das Lied stark lieb und du hast es gut getan, sehr gut gemacht. Und nur ein paar Sachen, was ich meine, sind uns wert zu sein wert, das heißt worthy. Ja.
Who is das? Who is vet? Where is that? The first line. The first line.
No. So der Wert, it's not in the poem, it's just something I'm saying. So der Wert haste, like worth. Yeah. And if you say something, for example, sein Wert haste to be worthy, yeah, or is worth your time. So if I say es is uns wert, this haste, it's worth our time. Yeah, or it's worthy, it's worth it to us. Yeah, es ist uns wert. Es ist uns wert. So to
Yeah, just a quick question, because you were talking about the coal, and the coal was spelled differently, and that's actually gave me an idea. Maybe it have been done for a kid's purpose, so we could easily could read what is written there, or maybe it's a second thing, because as you know, the Russian Yiddish orthographically spells sometimes completely different from the original one. So if you look at the Soviet Yiddish books or newspapers, sometimes you would see it's quite different. Is it could be example of this, or?
So you are absolutely correct. Soviet Yiddish does have a different orthography than what we're used to. However, this book was printed in New York, so it's unlikely that it's Soviet influence.
So it's only defined by geographically. If it was
it's defined by geography.
Former Soviet Union, that's okay.
It's just Hebrew and Yiddish. The first one, call, was the Hebrew spelling, and since this is all in Yiddish, they put the call in the Yiddish.
No, kimat, Lily. it's still kol with a vav in Yiddish and Hebrew, but Yiddish has less of a standardized writing system than Hebrew does, and also this book is written for children.
That's it. Makes sense.
Yo.
Yeah.
So,
Okay.
nu, ich will reden wegen ein paar Sachen. So, so Gito hat das sehr fein gemacht. Lem, also das Wort Lem, sie hat es sehr gut übergesetzt. Lem, das ist eine קירצונג. Was ist eine קירצונג? Die קירצונג. Was ist eine קירצונג?
A shorthand.
Yeah, a shortening. Exactly, a shortening. Lem is a קירצונג von Leben. Leben, which is not life, which is not life. It's another word in Yiddish which means near. Leben.
Leben.
So
Is it
Leben,
Leben or Leben?
Ah,
Is it Leben?
It depends on your Yiddish. So your Yiddish it might be Leben. But yeah, totally fine.
Leben.
Leben
Leben.
and Neb, two complete synonyms. One has an L, one has a
It's
nun.
an Neben. Yeah, because I know the Neben, but
And they mean the same thing. So it doesn't mean life, they just both mean near. And Lem is a shortening of Leben. So Lebnim, so near him, sehr gut, a grüner Baum, sehr schön. So, and then Gito, you were absolutely right. Zieht sich, das heißt to pull oneself. Zieht sich, ich zieht sich. And this is.
Okay, sorry,
this
with
is
it, just, I'm sorry, titzig again. Titzig, I thought is like to be afraid. Ich titzig.
You're thinking
what?
of zittern sich.
Titzern. Okay.
Zittern sich, ich zittert sich means I'm trembling. I'm trembling.
Okay.
Ich
Titzern.
zitter.
See, okay,
But
okay.
this verb here is ziehen sich. No
Ziehen. Ziehen. And that's
Yeah.
also to tear, isn't it? Ziehen, to tear?
Nein,
to tear apart?
reißen is there.
To stretch.
Risen. Oh, it's to
Reißen
stretch.
is there.
Okay, I'm sorry.
It's
Okay.
Shepherd Paul. Nein,
Mhm.
bet nicht kein Michael. Also noch, also,
I
das heißt
I don't need to confuse everybody else. Okay.
Nein, das ist gut.
They are confused anyway.
Yo, Lily. No, das heißt is, you heard this seat sound, and it sounds very close to zittern, but zittern means to tremble. You have to tremble.
Mhm,
Good. So der Boing zieht sich, it pulls itself. Sehr fein.
mhm.
So das Lied beschreibt der Efter nicht der Kampf über a Schmues, wie sie heißt, zwischen der Bäum und der Mäuer. Und der Mäuer tut in Arbeit und der Bäum tut durch in Arbeit und sie schmusen zwischen sich und der Bäum will Poschitz und Räum für sich, Ort für sich. Das heißt, als der Bäum will sich frei, der will sich befreien. Das heißt, der Bäum schluckt mit die Zweigen, das heißt, the tree is using its branches to hit the wall.
hit.
Der Bäum schluckt mit die Schweigen.
Mhm.
Ruk op sich comes from a verb. So ruken can mean to slide or to move. Opruken means to move. Opruken means to move. Or opruken sich, as it may be. So ruk op sich. You might also hear ruk sich op. Das heißt move. Ich will noch hecher steigen. Es wächst mein grüner Kopf. So let's look at this sentence here for a moment. Es wächst mein grüner Kopf. So this was actually in the chapter I sent around from College Yiddish. No worries if you guys didn't get a chance to glance through it. But this is an example of what we call in Yiddish a dummy subject. So there are times in Yiddish where, whether in poetry, whether in spoken language, you can begin a sentence with a dummy subject, which is S, which stands in for a subject which comes later in the sentence. In this case, mein grüner Kopf is the subject. So you could easily write this as mein grüner Kopf wächst. Yeah?
Mhm.
My green
But
coat,
but for poetic license, and also just, you know, for rhyme, and also for the fact that Yiddish allows you to do this, you can say "Se wächst mein grüner Kopf." Yeah.
Mhm.
And how do we know for sure that mein grüner Kopf is the subject here? There's a big kind of tell that mein grüner Kopf can't be an object in the sentence.
Maybe for mine.
Well,
As
what
far
you
as
mean,
the
do you
verb,
mean not
the verb is.
the illustration? The
But-
illustration on the
good.
side.
Gut, das ist eine gute Idee, aber nicht die Zeichnung.
No,
Ja, die Zeichnung,
okay,
das ist eine illustration.
okay.
Well, I think when I was
Gibel-
when I was reading it, it's the green the grüne Kopf wächst. So the grüne Kopf is a subject. Wachsen is the
Mhm.
verb.
Yeah,
Mein green, it's mine. The tree is talking about his green head. Mein
yeah.
grüne Kopf wächst. Es wächst. So
Yeah.
ich habe gemeint, es is it, a pronoun like it, es wächst.
Yo, so S literally, so Gita, you're absolutely correct. So S does mean it, and your translation is perfect. But what's happening here is that the S is working as a dummy subject literarily that stands in for mein grüner Kopf that comes later. Yo, so in effect, there are two subjects here in this sentence. There's S and mein grüner Kopf. S just stands in for a subject because grammatically we need a subject there. Right? The kind of first, second, and third position rule. Yeah. Grammatically, you need a subject there. So the S just is a stand-in, whereas mein grüner Kopf comes later. And Jean, just wait one moment because I do have to talk about something else. So there is although all of this being said, there is a sign here that even if we didn't know that S is standing in for mein grüner Kopf, there's a sign, a really big one, that tells us that mein grüner Kopf can only be the subject of this sentence. Only the subject.
Would it
What
be
is it?
green M?
For mine? Mine?
Wait, Mark, was hast du gesagt?
It's greener.
Yo,
That's the
c'est
the case
greener.
Oh,
C'est greener.
Kopf.
Masculine nouns that take air, like mein grüner Kopf, mein schöner Mann, etc. The air inflection can only occur to masculine nouns in the nominative. Yeah, in the nominative. There are other cases where you see this air ending, but if you know a noun is masculine, which in this case Kopf is, der Kopf, and it's grüner Kopf, that air, that is a very clear sign that this word has to be subject. Yeah, because it's in the nominative, it ends with air. Yeah, if it was the object of the sentence, something to my green head, it would have to be mein grünem Kopf, mein grünem Kopf. Yeah, and then Jean, was ist gewesen dein Frage?
Yes, it's completely off the subjects, but it's got me thinking because as sometimes it could go as eat, and sometimes it will go like eating, eat. Could it be translated if it's completely off the subject? It's okay. Could it be translated eating my growing green head?
Nein, das ist ein
Nein?
guter Gedanke. Das ist ein guter Gedanke. Ja, das ist ein guter Gedanke. But we're you know, the context of the poem makes it hard to translate it that way.
Yeah, I understand that, but
yeah.
She was just a sentence of it. So.
It also makes it hard because syntactically in Yiddish, we don't like always to have verbs in first position.
Yeah.
And in that reading of this line, S would
So
be
if
its
it
own
was
sentence.
as my waxen greener Kopf, that would be.
Well, it
as-
couldn't be greener. It couldn't be greener Kopf, unless the greener Kopf is the subject. But
Yeah.
what I guess what I'm getting at is there's if you read it that way, Jean, there's two sentences here. There's S, which is one sentence, in its entirety, eat. And then the second sentence, mein grüner Kopf wächst. And syntactically here, you couldn't have a verb in first position, or at least it would sound weird. So for that reading, you'd have to make an argument for why syntax doesn't matter in this line.
Yeah, I see.
Yeah.
I see.
Yeah. Good.
I have a question. So
Yo, Lily.
You couldn't say mein grüner Kopf is waxed.
Well, you could say mein grüner Kopf wächst, absolutely. Yeah, because wachsen has to grow, and conjugated in the third person singular, it's mein grüner Kopf wächst. Yeah.
But without S.
Name, because once mein grüner Kopf is put in first position, you no longer need the S. It has no
Yes.
function.
I see.
Yeah.
Okay,
The S is only there as a placeholder, signaling to you that the subject comes later. Yeah, that's all the S is doing.
I see.
Yeah. And we see it
Now,
again in the next line.
I wanted to
Yeah.
mention something that I thought was kind of cute in that
Mhm.
paragraph. The two words zweigen and steigen, they
Mhm.
rhyme in Yiddish. And it
Yeah.
looks like almost the same word, actually. So me trying to learn how to read, that's kind of interesting, the way it
Ja,
is.
warte. Ja.
Zweigen and
Also,
steigen.
ja, und sie sind sehr gute Wörter.
Poem.
Ja, steigen und steigen. Ja, und wir sehen euch in dem kommenden Satz, oder actually, a little poetry vocabulary for us. A line of poetry is die Schure, and notice it's written like Hebrew. Die Schure is a line of poetry. A stanza of poetry is a Strophe, die Strophe, so die Schure and die Strophe. Yeah, and then the stress or the tempo or the rhythm of a poem is called der Trop. Der Trop. Ja, so die Schure, die Strophe und der Trop. Gut. So in der kommendicker Schure und es räuscht der Bäum mit Blätter. We have another example of S acting as a placeholder. Yeah, because we see this.
I see the S here.
Right?
Yeah.
And we see this article der Bäum, masculine, der Bäum. It can only be the subject because a masculine noun that takes der has to be in the nominative. It has to be a subject, der Bäum. Und der Bäum räuscht mit Blätter. Yo, and the tree rustles with its leaves. But Kadya chooses the more poetic way of writing it, which is und es räuscht der Bäum mit Blätter. Yo, and we see this later too. Und so lachen von die Fenster 12 Kinder mit der Mo. Yeah, so the actual subject of this line is 12 Kinder. Yeah, 12 Kinder. But we have to wait until the second line to get our subject. Yeah, the sa here is just basically cluing you in that you haven't seen the subject yet, and it'll come.
Oh,
Yeah.
I was wondering.
Und so lachen von die Fenster 12 Kinder mit der Mo. Yeah.
So if
Good.
if you put the 12 Kinder mit der Mul erst,
Mhm.
man darf nicht sagen zu lachen, man kann sagen
Ja,
lachen.
Warte, lachen. Just push it lachen. Yeah, what this way.
12
this
Kinder
way.
mit der Mul lachen,
Yeah.
kann man sagen, nicht ein,
Ganzen richtig. Yeah, Gito is exactly correct. Yeah, as soon as you put the subject back in first position, you don't need the S. Yeah, it's just there as a placeholder. Yeah, as a grammatical placeholder according to the rules of Yiddish. Yeah, going back to the idea of first position, second position, and third position. Yeah, der erste Ort, der zweite Ort, der dritte Ort. Und so lachen von die Fenster 12 Kinder mit dem Mo. Sehr schön. Okay, gut. Wir haben noch 10 Minuten. Und für die 10 Minuten will ich hören noch ein Lied. Das heißt es Anthea. Ob du willst lernen das Lied noch einmal, wir können das tun, ob wir haben Zeit heint oder die kommende Klasse. Oder wenn du bist so, können wir das euch vorlernen.
Okay, und ich will nicht da, ich bin's nicht da, die kommende Woche.
Okay.
So,
Oh, okay, gut. Okay,
If
nu,
it's-
du willst Yeah, do you want
Alright,
to, would you
so,
like to
okay,
read it
then
again now?
I will try. Okay. Now,
Yeah.
this is my first question before I start. That very first word is that ata.
Ah,
Is
so look at
is
the,
is
look at
that
the vowel.
symbol?
Yep.
Is that symbol the symbol? That symbol is that an ah? Does
It's a
that
o.
pron-
It's a comment.
oh?
Yeah, it's a
Okay.
comment.
So
O,
that's
o,
where I get
yep.
confused. Okay, so that's an or, and then the two dots. What are the two? You know, then there are two dots underneath the aleph sometimes. You know, they're two like little dots. Aren't there
dots.
two? Yeah, sometimes they're two. Instead of this little
But
plus
the O,
sign.
but two dots is probably
Like a net.
in Hebrew or something.
Yeah, that
the
might
He-
be,
is
that
that
might be a
maybe the
Hebrew spelling.
It's a
Oh,
Hebrew.
maybe it's
I-
Hebrew
I
that
can
I'm
tell you-
thinking of.
Yeah,
Okay,
I can
so
tell
in
you
Yiddish,
on,
so in Yiddish, there's just that one symbol, the ah.
well, there's
Ah,
two.
oh.
Yep, so there's two.
What's
so here,
the
let me,
other one? What's the other
Just
one?
ah,
I'd like
ah,
to know.
So you can see them all on this page, yo. So here's the comments right here.
Yes.
Comments. Here's the pasach, which means ah,
Ah, okay, okay,
right
okay.
there again. And then a shumer aleph with no vowel that isn't
And
pronounced.
Right.
sometimes you have
Right,
that's why
right.
you could have a passage.
Oh, okay. Yeah, see, I
No?
get so confused with those symbols. Okay, all right. So,
It's like oi,
right,
I,
so-
a, e.
okay, so this is the first word is ata. Ata. Is that what you're saying? Ata.
Auto.
Auto.
What does it
Auto. Okay. Auto state hoicha. And then what's mavi? Is that a wall? Mavir. Is that a wall? A wall.
A moyer is the wall. Yo, a moyer.
Moyer. Oh, it's moyer. Okay. So auto state hoicha moyer. Okay. Moyer. So over here, does that mean over here is standing a tall tree? No, tree is a bomb. What's a moya? A wall. A wall.
A wall.
wall.
Yo,
So
Otto heet over there. Yo, Otto
over
steht over
there.
there moyer.
Okay. So lemim a greener boem. Lemim. So I don't know what lemim is. I know you said it before, but I forget.
next
Okay.
to him?
Leben. Oh, that's the short for leb. Oh, lebim. So next to him stands a green tree. Okay. Der Baum sitzt sich zwis Himmel. So the tree is sitting between. Is it between the ground and the sky?
Ein Sekunde, ja. So der Baum zieht sich, das kommt
Oh,
von unserem Verb ziehen.
not sitzig.
Ja,
Zitzig.
ziehen. Ja, so das ist ein Tzadik. Ja, Tzadik.
Yes, yes, okay.
Ja, der Baum zieht sich, das heißt, it's pulling itself.
Zitzig. Oh, that was the
Zum-
zitzig.
Ja.
Right.
Zum Himmel.
Zum
Zu
Himmel.
dem
Oh, so it's pulling itself towards the sky or the heavens.
way.
Okay.
Himmel.
All right. Der Moyer lacht im Quim.
So der Moyer
So the wall is
Was?
lost, not
Lost,
lacht.
yeah.
Lost.
So when you're reading with olives, just pay attention to this. I know the signs can be confusing, but here this comment is giving you a little help for your reading eye that it's an O sound. An O
Okay.
sound.
Okay, so
Lost,
dim
yeah.
lost,
Mhm.
not lacht.
Der Moyer
Okay,
lost,
okay,
exactly.
lost. Okay, lost. Der Moyer lost im Kim.
Koyim.
Koyim.
The nice thing about Molodowski, especially her children's poetry, is that most lines will rhyme. Yeah, so what
Right.
does the
In coil.
diamond? Yeah.
What is
So-
koim? So the wall lost him koim. So the wall is letting him do, and what's koim?
So basically,
what-
der Bäum zieht sich zum Himmel means the tree is pulling itself towards
It's
the
up
sky.
towards sky, right?
Yeah. Der Moyer lost him koim means the wall is barely letting him. It's hardly letting him. Der Moyer lost him koim.
Okay.
The
Der
wall
Moyer
stands in
lost-
the way.
Oh, stands
the
in
wall
the
stands in
way
the
way
the
of
trees,
letting
the
him.
trees climbing. Yeah.
Okay.
Because the wall is
Okay.
very tall. The wall is really tall, but the tree is trying its best. Over the
Okay.
wall.
Okay.
Moyer and
So
want is a synonym.
okay. So now the second paragraph. Der Bäum schlägt mit der Zweigen. So that one I understood. So the tree is hitting against the branches, with the
Ah.
branches,
With the
with its branches. Okay, all right.
Und Gita am Zweigen. Ja, mit die Zweigen.
Mit die
the-
Zweigen. Okay, mit die Zweigen. Okay, that's the branches. Zweigen,
Mhm.
Zweigen. And I said Zweigen. Okay, so it's Zweigen. Okay.
That's no.
Okay. Ruhig auf sich and then ruhig sich auf. So is ruhig quiet? Ruhig.
So ruhig would be quiet or calm if it had a
Quiet,
yud
rest.
in it. If it had a yud, but this is ruck from uprucken sich, which
Oh,
means to move.
ruck.
Yep.
Ruck. So what does ruck mean?
So
Quiet.
rucken by itself
No.
means to slide or to move.
Slide.
Uprucken or uprucken sich means to move. Yo, ich ruck sich up, I move from where I am. I
So is
literally
it
am turning my back
Ruck with a k. Ruck.
with a cup.
Is that
Yeah,
a
ruck.
k? Okay, ruck. Okay, ruck auf sich. Ruck. Okay. All right. So
And it's ruck up. Yeah, with the pa, with the pe.
ruck
Yeah.
up sich. Ruck up sich. Okay, ruck sich up. Okay. All right. So then ich will noch heicher stichen. So I want to even go higher. Higher stichen. What's stichen?
So this verb is gonna rhyme with zweigen. Yeah.
Zweigen, yeah. And stichen. I forget what stichen.
So steigen. Yeah, steigen.
To stand, no?
Oh, to stand.
No. So stehen hates to stand. Steigen hates to rise.
Oh,
Rise. Steigen
okay.
hates to rise.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, thank you. All right, so es wächst mein grüner Kopf. So this wächst is to grow. So my head is growing greener and growing greener.
My head.
Yes,
so
my
this is-
head.
So this is the same sentence we were talking about earlier with
Right.
Savat. Yeah. So mein grüner Kopf means
Kopf,
my green
head, yes.
green head.
So my
and
green head
Kopf-
is growing.
exactly my green head is growing.
Right. Okay. So on is roisht. On is roisht der Baum mit Blätter. So
Yeah.
so you said that was so it's rustling my tree with the leaves.
Yeah.
So
the
my
tree
trees-
is rustling. Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
So der Bäum is
Um,
the tree, that's our subject. Yeah.
Right.
And so der Bäum roisht mit Blätter. Yeah. So
Yeah,
it's making
roisht.
it's
No,
rustling.
right. Okay. Gibson as sich, as na gib sun ein gib sun ein
So das ist ja, gib
oh, that's gib sun
Wind.
Wind,
Ja.
Wind,
ja,
Wind.
Wind und hovik.
ja, so,
Is that?
so Gita guck auf die Oisies, ja, so hey,
Hey, vav,
Yud,
yud, and that's
so,
a you.
das ist ein langer Ruf, ja,
Yeah.
so heuer,
Hoi.
heuer,
Okay. So, all right. So then, what does that mean? Gibson, as sich weint,
Let. Mhm.
as sich havek.
Let the
ja,
sun
so,
and the wind.
yeah, so remember, the wall is very tall, you know, and the
Right.
tree is trying its best to grow with its own space and give it enough room to feel free. And so it's saying, it's hit the wall with its branches and said, move, I want to grow higher, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And the moyer doesn't do anything, the wall doesn't do anything. So then it rustles with its leaves and it says, give me sun, give me wind,
Give me
give me
wind.
height.
Okay,
No,
give me
give.
sun, give me, and then what's the second one? Give me sun, give me, what's
Wind,
wind
Yo.
of the wind, okay. And then, and hoich, and give me height.
you know, height, yeah, height.
Height,
They want
yes,
room
okay,
in the
right,
sky,
right,
you know, give
right,
us-
okay.
It doesn't say give me though. There's no me there, is there?
Oh, I
No,
see.
not literally speaking,
Not
but it,
literally.
Right,
Give.
you'll
okay.
give to,
Right.
But keep is
So-
for everything, no?
you know, gib is just the imperative form of geben, was heißt to
Yes.
give, you know?
give.
So literally speaking, it says give sun and wind and height, but you know, the implication is that it's for the tree, you know? So give me sun and wind and room, you know, room to grow.
So should I carry on? Have we still got time? I don't know.
Yo, just go ahead and
Okay.
finish this strophe. Yo, go ahead and
Okay.
finish the strophe.
Okay. Der Moyer on treffet, entfert.
And
No, entfert ruhig. So
Yo, das ist ruhig. Yo, das ist ruhig.
yeah, right, ruhig. So okay, so the wall answered quiet.
Or calmly. Yo, calmly.
Calmly, okay, answer calmly, okay. Ich zu mein Arbeit Oif.
Sehr shame. Sehr shame.
Okay, as I told you, this is my weakest link.
No, Anthea, es ist sehr fein. Und es ist gut, weil wir sind dort zu lernen. Und wir sind dort sich zu lernen. Ja, das ist was wir tun das. A schönem Dank für Lernen. Ich hab a so lieb die Lieder von Molodowski, a viele die Kinderlieder. Und ob du hast Zeit, wenn du bist weg, geh du guck und gib a Proof zu lernen andere Lieder. Was du kannst in Buch. So wird geben schön. Und ob du willst dann kann ich euch schicken Rekodierungen von jiddischen Lieder. Ich kann das tun durch der Heimarbeit.
This is good,
today.
this is good.
Ja?
Okay.
Gut. A schönen Dank. Nu, seien wir Michael, was wir haben nicht gehabt die Zeit, alle zu rezitieren ein bisschen. Aber ich meine, es ist selbst gewesen, gut zu praktizieren und sehr lohnend zu gehen durch die Lieder und zu reden wegen die alle grammatische Protein. Talk about all the grammatical details, die grammatische Protein. Der Prat, die Protein, das heißt Detail. Ja, der Prat, die Protein, Detail. Ja, und das
you know,
kommt von
I'm
Lashon
amazed how many Hebrew words are there.
Ja, es ist doch
Ja.
Sach. Es ist doch Hacke Sach.
Sehr Sach.
Ja, der Prat, die Protim. Das heißt, another word for detail is der Detail, die Detailen. But Yiddish speakers more often say Prat in Protim, I'd say. Prat in Protim. Gut, okay. Das ist unsere Zeit vereint. Aber die kommende Woche wollen wir lernen, wollen wir sich lernen, wie soll zu nutzen persönliche Pronomen. Ja, so mich, mir, dich, dir, und so weiter. And we'll also finish the poetry recitations. And I might have some other stuff planned for us too. But that'll essentially be our plan for next week. Okay, gut. Schönen Dank euch alle und euch schönen Dank für eure Hilfe mit unser logistics and planning the coming quarter. And apologies, I can't continue at the same time. I wish it was easier. Gut. Aber Dank euch und seid mir gesund.
Seid gesund.
And I'll be in touch with all of you next week so we can make sure that you're enrolled and everybody's set for the next semester of fun.
Perfect.
So
Can
the
I ask
next
you,
semester,
what
when
are
the
the
next
next
semester gonna
classes?
start? So
They'll start the first week of January.
So we have
no,
one more
first,
next
and
week.
when
and
this
then
one is
half
ending.
after
So,
that?
Next week is the last class. You'll have a 2-week break and then we'll start again.
okay. That's good.
can I ask Gittel? I
Yeah.
wanted to ask her something. Do you have my telephone number or can I